Thanks, guys. On this episode of Ship Shape, we're sitting down with principal vehicle artist Chris Smith and Josh Coons to discuss the upcoming rework of the Constellation. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Jay?
Good. Now, you've been working on the Constellation for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been on it for a little while, since February to be exact.
Okay. And coming up with Alpha 2.0, we'll get to see the fruits of your labors.
Right.
Okay.
Finally.
Finally. Now, you're going to take us through a tour of the inside of the Constellation, and then later on, we'll get Josh Coons in here, and he'll take us through the external. Now, this is still work in progress. Alpha is not out yet. They're still working on things, integrating the various builds and stuff, but he was kind enough to offer to take us through, so let's see what they got. Chris, I leave it to you.
All right. So, yes, it's still a work in progress, although we are very far into it. We're very close to being done with it. So I'll just swoop into the interior and walk you guys through it. So here we have the front bulkhead area. And so the main difference that we did right away when we started rebuilding the Constellation was to separate it out into modular sections. So we have a nose section, a neck section, a body section, and a tail section. And that counts for the interior as well as for the exterior. And so that helps us actually in the future making any variances or anything like that. You know, we can instead of building a whole new ship, we can just swap out a piece and then it becomes a new ship, right? And since most of our variants is sort of built that way, you know, it lends itself very well to that. So here is the nose bulkhead, and the immediate change was to add a bulkhead to this area, which didn't exist in the previous version. There was actually no door here, and so everything was left open, and beyond this door there's an airlock. So if someone wanted the EVA out, you know, the whole cockpit would essentially be exposed to the environment and you know, potentially space. So that wasn't very acceptable. So we added this bulkhead there, which I think adds visually, it makes it a nice segment, and it cuts off and makes it a nice cockpit area, and really just owns in on the purpose of the ship and this area. So here we have you know, the seats. You have the pilot seat. As you can see too, I mean, we've added a lot of small detail and brought it up to the same visual standards as the Retaliator was made. So everything is super high detail and fidelity compared to the rest of the ship. Whoops, I'm like climbing up on the chair now.
Kids, get down.
Get down. And so this also represents, it's like a first lighting pass, the interior lighting of the ship. As you can see, it's sort of, you know, it's got a little fog in there and atmosphere and everything. It's still not done yet. There's still some work to be done now. We'll have like another pass on the interior lighting. But it's getting there, you know. You can see details like the lighting through the grating here, which is cool and stuff like that. And another big change to the front was the turret entrance. On the previous version, the entrance was actually on the other side. So you essentially had to walk over here and then face this way to get into the turret. But now, all you have to do is just walk straight, and then you can already use the turret, you know, up and down. So that was a big, I think, request too by the fans. You know, over the time since we've had the old Connie out, there were tons of remodels and remakes done by fans, you know, some to great success. You know, we've actually adapted a lot of those changes into our own change. So yeah, a lot of those requests were heard and answered in this one.
I'm going to throw you a tough question here, though. One of those most common requests is the inverted bottom turret.
Yeah.
I noticed that we don't have the inverted bottom turret in there. Is there can you talk about why we haven't done the inverted bottom turret?
So you're saying a request was actual to have it flipped?
Yeah, basically you go downstairs.
Like the Retaliator?
Exactly like the Retaliator, so they get the same field of view as the guy up top.
Well, initially we were thinking about it, but it was going to take a little bit more to remodel that area and to make that to facilitate that, and it was actually going to take too long for the time that we had. Even though we had a long time to model this, when we spent 8 months on this ship, and the last 2 months, working really hard just to get it, to a point, and we're still not even done. So I mean, this ship, these ships take a long time. So anytime you add new mechanics and stuff like that, it adds even more time and R&D and all that stuff. The Retaliator turret was done when that was like sort of in progress. The whole debate about it, we were already sort of past that part. We didn't want to go back then and then have to redo it, so we kept it the way it is in this case. Although I will say,
field of view is much better than it was just looking at the CitizenCon demo.
Yeah, we definitely what we did was more or less, we have this chair in a swivel, right? So it kind of like swivels like a rocking chair backwards, so you can look down, as you're moving around. So that was sort of like a little bit of a compromise to help out, the visual part. But yeah, I mean, another thing was we were concerned about the playability of the inverted turret. I'm not really sure now. I mean, I'm not sure if fans like the inverted turret.
It's something they talk. Everybody talks about lots of things.
Right.
But until you get in there and you play with it, you never know whether it's going to work or not.
It was a concern, that it might even be confusing to have an inverted turret. So, I guess maybe the jury's still out on that.
Well, I guess we'll find out with the Retaliator, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably the biggest reason for keeping it was time constraint, and also, I think the ability to. I mean, I don't think every turret has to be a flip turret.
No.
So. It was sort of like, we'll keep it with the original style of the Constellation.
Not all ships are supposed to be all things.
Yeah. You can't have everything with everything, no? Or can you? Well, maybe you can. We'll see. Hey, maybe in the future we'll have a flip down turret version of the Constellation. So here we are at the neck, the neck component of the ship. And this would be like the living quarters. So my intent when I redid the interior of the Constellation was to really have a distinctive feel when you walk through the ship from front to back, and you're in a different room. So not everything just looks the same. And so I made this room very in contrast to the front room. It's a lot brighter and wider, and it's more the living area, right? So it's a little bit more friendly. And I added a lot more bright colors. So here we have like the bench, and there's like a retractable table, and shelves, kitchen area, and stuff like that. Fridge. And here's the airlock, which was in the original model, which was a big circular airlock. I made it a rectangular shape because actually with this shape, we can now fit all the crew members on at once and get them down to the bottom, so you don't have to go one by one. The other one was a little bit smaller, and the shape didn't lend itself very well to getting everyone on there.
That's the beautiful thing about game development. It's iterative. You try things.
Right.
Some things work, some things don't.
Yeah, you find out, right? Quickly. And here we have the bathroom, which is actually in the. I doubt it works at this point, but I'm not going to risk it.
Is the bathroom on the Constellation dangerous, Chris?
Oh, here we go. It does.
Oh, wow.
So here I made it actually a combo. So it's actually a shower with the toilet. So you can do all of it at once if you really want to. if you feel so inclined. But the idea is, either you go in to brush your teeth or shower, or you go in for, number one or number two.
After the Starfare incident, I have to ask, where's the toilet paper?
Oh, good question. In space, they don't use toilet paper. No.
It just floats away.
Do they have toilet paper in the future?
There was.
Maybe it's an automatic.
There was an old thing with internal Starfare concept art. They had the toilet paper right under the shower head.
Oh.
In a comment about it, so the toilet paper was obviously going to get wet. But you apparently don't have toilet paper at all.
I don't have toilet paper at all.
So bring toilet paper with you when you go into the Constellation bathroom.
You know what, guys? I'll add that just for you.
Or the three seashells. I can't say it.
I'll add some charmin in there.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say it. All right, so there's the toilet, and then we have. Now I can't get out. And here we have lockers, and then I've also added an armory station where machine guns and weapons can be added, which wasn't there in the previous Connie, and which is very important for multi-crew ships.
Yeah.
So that was added, and I added it to the living area because I thought it made the most sense. It was close to the front cockpit area, and it was centralized, and it was in the living quarters. You know, like if they get an emergency call, you know, they have to jump out of bed. You know, they'll be right there. And they have
Makes sense. You don't want to cover the entire length of the ship.
Right. So here we also have the escape pods and beds, which are unfortunately, I don't think these doors work at the moment, but these doors, like, they would kind of split off and open up. And so this was another big change in the previous version. Well, actually, the previous version we had the escape pods already shuttered off and airlocked out, but it looked very primitive, I guess, and
This looks great. I love
textures and everything. So yeah, I just kind of spruced it up and put some windows there and just made it look better overall. But the same concept applies, you know, so that way when they EVA out, nothing gets exposed to the environment.
Okay.
Here we get into the main cargo area, which we call the body module. And this is the main part of the ship and the biggest part of the ship. And this actually went somewhat relatively unchanged functionality-wise. The cargo area is the same space as it was before. The way it opens and the way it jettisons cargo is the same way too. The main thing that I've added was a missile reload system. So when you walk over here, you can actually see it. I took like a little visual cue, functionality cue from the Retaliator, what Nathan did with his like cool view. You can see like the missile bay area, which I thought was awesome. And I thought it would be cool to kind of add something similar to that here. So right above this, like if the missiles go straight up, that's where the missile launcher from the exteriors are. And so they just all, like after the top missiles get shot off, you know, these guys just kind of slot up into the other part, into the top part of the missile launcher, and then they get shot off. So it's a cool way. I mean, if somebody were to be standing there, they could see it actually happening with the missiles moving eventually. And then here we have the airlock, which is also the docking collars on the side, which stayed in the same. They actually stayed in the same space as the original Connie. So we walk through here. Also, another big thing was we've added a lot of the components to the ship. So eventually, these boxes here will be replaced by actual components, avionics, that you'll be able to service and repair and all that stuff. Right now, I've sort of made these boxes, block-off boxes, but I've indicated where they will go. Right now, they're not serviceable, but they're there.
Yeah.
In the game when you play. So we walk back here, and here we get to the tail area section, which is also where the Merlin is docked. We can come down here real quick. And so here is the Merlin. We made it very simple, and basically all you do is walk right up to it, and you'll be able to jump in your Merlin. Boom.
Through the glass.
Right through the glass. Yeah, that's the future.
Yes. In this build, there's some animation issues, guys. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what I have too is not what you with the final build or anything. There's animations that I have missing from this, so don't get worried.
We wanted to get this for you today, so we're working with what we got.
So yeah, this is pretty much it. Josh will be able to show you the exterior.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna take a minute, come back with Josh Coons. Thanks, Chris.
Later. Thank you.
And now we're here with 3D artist Josh Coons, who worked with Chris on the exterior of the Constellation. Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Good. All right. Now, we got a couple minutes left, so take us through the exterior. Show us what you got.
So, yeah, when we got the original mesh for the ship, it was, how we say in the biz, not optimized. So,
Yes.
my main first goal was to go through and make sure that the polygons being used on the ship were actually being seen by the player. So after deleting all that, I found out I could pretty much just do whatever I wanted on the ship and just add crazy detail all over the place, which is good. You want that.
All right.
So I did some overall exterior silhouette tweaks, trying to make it more angular. We have an evolving RSI style guide right now, and we pushed that a little bit as we were making the ship. Here we have the new front end. Wanted to make it look more framey, more industrial and constructed. Show you where the parts are put together. We had a significant pass over the maneuvering thrusters and positioning. I completely redid those as well, put a little bit more detail into that because they had none. Also, for the nose section, which is what we're currently looking at, the turret bay doors, not a lot of detail in here. Went back, gave it some interior guts, some decals, which may be missing right now. Nope, they're there. It's just dark in here. Some LED lighting. We wanted some lighting states for battle mode and, you know, some real Star Trek influence type stuff that a little bit more excitement added to the gameplay. This is where the turrets pop out. We have the new wing sections as well as the new flaps. These are up to my quality bar.
I'm kidding.
They were telling me in the beginning we had this RSI proprietary turbine technology, which would be located on other ships yet to be made. So I wanted to make sure that those were super, super cool in reuse. Once I looked at them, they were like a bajillion polys. They're not hooked up in the scene right now, but once you guys get your hands on the file, aim for this part, blow those doors off, you'll be able to check them out, and then shoot them again and kill them. Moving on to the previously mentioned next section, we have the new cover caps for, this is where you'll be jettisoning out the side. This is a top escape bay. Passengers, no, that's driver's side. Well, it depends what country you're in. More details. I wanted to add in some kind of clues as to how this works. I've got some like debt charge packs down here. You know, just make it feel more believable. You got your top hatch exit. Also on the bottom, Chris may have mentioned in the interior walkthrough that we made this bigger, so now instead of one dude going down, everybody on the ship can go down. I think we can get 5 people up on this as it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom escape pods. Lighting's a little dark right now because it's turned on. We've got the main body section. Completely revamped these missile launcher foldouts. I think you guys will be more pleased with the shape. They felt kind of flimsy, so we thickened them up, made them a little bit more beefy. More lights. This is the side airlock entrance, a lot more beefy. There's still a lot more detail I'd like to do as far as the exterior goes. What you're viewing now is the new missile deploy. So on the old Akani, they kind of just came out, sadly, and you couldn't really see how they worked. So now they pop up at a sweet angle. And when these get launched off, I think you're going to see a cool pattern to how they deploy. For the front, we've got our main nacelles. These got overhauled a lot. I went back and forth with Roberts on the design of these things, and me and him had pretty much the same consensus on they were just too noisy. So we dialed those back, added some front DRL influenced type of lighting scheme for the front. We now have the deployable countermeasures built into the sides. This thing was titanic. This is the biggest model I've ever worked on in my life. It's absolutely huge. I wanted to integrate a lot more glass-covered tech, just to make it a little bit more complete. I added a little Constellation. So a little Star Trek, rip here. Wanted to add that in. Ship ain't a ship without a name. Moving back to the tail. A little plane back here. Now the lighting is not finished yet, so ignore all the blinky lights because they're not set up right. And here we have our new, super proud of this, got a lot of help from Elwin on hooking this bad boy up, but the new Merlin dock, I think the crowd will find a lot more, I'll just say cool, because it's a lot cooler now. Backward turbine housings and nacelle attach point to the back. Looks like we may have a smoothing air right here. Just trying to get more details in there. There just wasn't enough detail.
That's all right.
Added new lights, new landing gear. The jet skis are gone, so no more alpine skiing landing gears. A lot more beefy, chunky. They form fit a whole lot better. Overall, the shapes are a lot better, and believe it or not, this Constellation is, I think, 500,000 less polys than the original one. And it looks like twice the polys.
Yeah, no, it looks fantastic, man.
Thank you.
Folks are going to be stoked. That's why I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
I wanted to get it, because even with the CitizenCon demo, we got to see some of the inside and whatnot, but we never really got a real great look at the exterior of the ship.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show that off. So, all right, Josh, I think that's great. This is easily the longest ship shape we've ever done. So thanks to you and Chris for sitting down and taking us on a tour of this. Again, this will come with Alpha 2.0, and it'll have its lighting and all this stuff, and it'll look even better than what you're seeing here today. So, Josh, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.